Welcome back. My name is Alex Centeno, and in our previous video, we were able to create our folder for our custom module and our two files, the .info file and the .module file. We were also able to insert our code for the hook menu, but then that was it. Nothing else happened after that. We didn't enable it, and that's what we're going to do right now. So let's take a look. Here we have our folder with our two files, and let's click on the MKDS module file, which we have right here. One very important distinction here is that we're implementing hook menu, but basically what this keyword hook means is that it's going to be replaced by the name of our module, so MKDS. That's very, very important, because if we were to try to enable this, it wouldn't work, because it's hook, of course, and hook is not really the name of our module. So I hope that you remember from our second video that I said, remember the name that you are setting your module to be, so that you can use it consistently across the different functions that you're using, etc. So it's very, very important to pay attention to that. Let's recap a little bit here. So we're setting up an items array with this URL. So when people go to this array, they're going to be presented with whatever we define. And what we're defining is a function called say hi, which is our page callback. Okay, so I'm going to copy that say hi. I'm going to create a function that is called say hi with no parameters, just like that. It's going to return our output, and I'm going to define what that output is. So T, again, the reason for using the T function here is for translation purposes. So if somebody's trying to translate your website to a different language, so let's say you make your website in English, and now you have the possibility of somebody translating your website to Spanish, then you would allow people to change these elements or translate these elements by using this T function. Otherwise, it wouldn't be available for them to translate. So let's call it the MKDS greeting admin section, like that. And we're going to save that and go here and refresh. Great, and nothing happens. The reason nothing happens is that there's a cache control from Drupal acting here, and so we really don't see it although we refreshed, it actually didn't refresh the cache version. So let's go to Drush again, and let's type Drush CC to get the capacity of clearing the cache. Of course, you can do this from the platform itself, from Drupal itself, but I'm doing it with Drush here because it's faster, and also to demonstrate the technique. So once we get a success message here, we can refresh, and we should see our MKDS greeting here at the top, and also if we were to go to configuration, we would see it as well. But let's just go ahead and click here, and we should get just the title that we defined before, MKDS greeting admin section, which is exactly what we get and nothing more. Let's go ahead and continue then. So we want this MKDS greeting admin section, but we also want to output a form, and this form is going to ask the user for their name, so that we change the title of every node to a greeting with that name, so something like hello and the name that they enter. So I'm going to put here output concatenate, and then I am going to be calling a Drupal function called Drupal get form. Okay, and I'm going to give it a name to this function. I'm sorry, to this form, MKDS MKDS form. If I have many forms, this name wouldn't help me a whole lot, but let's just set it for MKDS form right now. And also, let me just note that in Drupal 7, I need to use render before this. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to concatenate this. It would actually say array in the display if I didn't actually use the render function to wrap around the Drupal get form function. Great. So far so good. If we were to do this, it wouldn't work because we haven't defined the mkds form. So let's go ahead and do that. So function mkds form. Perfect. So in the form itself, what we're going to be defining is the following, and I'm just gonna copy paste here to go a little bit faster. So I'm defining a form with a key that I'm giving here. So mkds form name, and I'm gonna be asking for the name, which is a text field. So I am defining each one of the fields I define as a keyed array, just like I'm doing here. This element, which is text field, has properties, and you can identify those properties because of these pound signs ahead of the names of those properties. So the first property is called type, which is text field. The second is title, which is name. The description, please enter your name, and then finally the default value. So let's talk about the default value here. The default value is being retrieved from this function here called variable get. Drupal has a special table that saves settings or admin settings in general. So you don't want to be saving lots of information to that table in the database. If you need to save a lot of information, then go ahead and create your own table and schema. But if you're just saving configurations, then this is actually the perfect table to use. So we're going to use variable get, and I'm using the name here, mkds form name of the key for this text field. The second parameter of this variable get is, what if I haven't set any name? Then what is my default value if I haven't set any value? So in other words, it's like the default of the default value. And I'm gonna set to Roger here, and that's it. Finally, we return system settings form and our form here that we're defining. By using system settings form, automatically we save to that variables table, and also we get the submit button that we don't really need to declare here. Otherwise, if we had a text field, we only get the text field, but we wouldn't get a submit button. So let's save here and take a look. So if we refresh here, now we have here mkds greeting, admin section, name. The reason why it says Pecos here is because I changed it. I before I recorded the video, I went through and made sure that I had you know, a good grasp of what I was going to do, so I changed it here. So if I get rid of that, what would happen? Save configuration. So no name, right? Let's say Bronco, and save the configuration. So now it's saved as Bronco, as you can see. So if I go to the admin, for example, and then come back to mkds greeting, Bronco. So it's saved. Okay. Let me show you what would happen if I actually want to add another text field. And I want to do this pretty fast because it's already getting the video to be a little bit longer than what I wanted. So form mkds form last for last name equal array And let's define a type, which is also going to be a text field, title. Okay, and let's go ahead and save that. And if I refresh here, I should have now name and last name in text fields. So as you can see, to actually generate my own forms, all I have to do is keep adding keyed arrays or keyed items to the array with the specific type that I want. So I can use select elements, I can use values and all sorts of things, and you can check, of course, the form API for the different available fields that you can use. But this is pretty much the way of adding new fields to your form here. So the last thing that I want to do here is let's go ahead and implement something that happens. So what is going to happen is every time that I save this, now every title of every node is going to change and say hello, my name. So I'm going to define a function here. This function is mkds node view. So this is a hook also, so it's a convention which takes two parameters, the node and the view mode. Alright, and all I'm doing is Drupal set title. I'm calling a function that Drupal has to change the titles. So Drupal set title, and it's going to set it to hello, and then variable get, and mkds form name. Let's give it a space here. And so all it's doing is it's going to call this hook node view in the execution of every node, and then it's going to change the title of that node to hello, whatever I said in this form. Let's go ahead and save that, and let's say my name is Bronco Federer. Let's go ahead and save configuration. In fact, let's go ahead and do Roger Federer. Save configuration and close this. Add new content. We're going to call this node with ABC as the title, and so ABC, no body. We're going to just save. So if everything is working properly, our title shouldn't be ABC, should be hello Roger, and it is. Why is it that the title ABC was replaced? Because we created a hook node view that the moment that it knows that we're calling in our module, it actually gets called, and so it sets the title to hello, and it retrieves what we said in our form. Let's go ahead and change it just to see. If I go here, and instead of Roger, I say Fernando Federer. Let's go ahead and close here. So if I refresh this page, hello Fernando. Alright, so I know we have covered a lot of information, and it has been 3 videos, and I didn't want to do a 4th, so that's why this one's a little bit longer. But making a recap. First, we installed Drupal using Drush in the command line, and we created a MySQL database with the command line. Then in the second video, we created the module itself with its own folder and with at least 2 files, the .info file and the .module file. And you can review those, of course, to go back into the particular things that you have to include in each one of those files. Then we enabled that file, that module, and then in the third video, this one, we were able to implement the hook menu first to determine our form, and then we defined what was going to happen, what was the page callback, so what is the function that is going to be retrieved when somebody goes to that URL, and then the form that was to be filled there. We also took a look at how to include text fields or select fields or whatever fields you want in those forms. The form API is not only used for admin settings, it can be used for any kind of form inside of Drupal. And then finally, we implemented something that it would do. So once we had that name retrieved, we were actually changing the title of our nodes. Not a very functional kind of module as an example, but it gives us an idea of what's possible through our custom modules. I hope that this introduction has been helpful for you and that it has allowed you to see, first of all, the possibilities, what is out there, what can be done, and also the technical side of it, which is a little bit difficult when you're just starting and when you're reading books and you don't really know what's important, what's not. So this is the way to start. So now you can create your own custom modules and you can start experimenting. If you don't understand the complexities of little things like functions, how to call functions, how to retrieve them, which functions are defined by Drupal and which ones are just your own custom functions, that's where experience is going to come in handy. The first part is experience in itself in PHP. So you have to learn more PHP in order to feel comfortable of how to define functions and things like that. And the second part, of course, is to learn more about Drupal. And I recommend, several books on the topic that if you want, you can ask in the comments box, and I'll share with you the names of those books that I recommend. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. And if you have any questions or comments, just let us know below in the YouTube comments box. Again, my name is Alex Centeno. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.